Greetings, everyone. My name is Jai, and this is News Review. Thank you for being there. Coming for you on the show today, the Alcalo of Bandung strongly denies allegations he is selling attestation. Our reporter, Fatou Kamara, traveled to Bandung, and she came through a report. But also, Aboubakary Jawara was a guest of honor at top Senegalese traditional musician Alassane Baye's Sargal event held over the weekend. My guest today will be the spokesman of United Democratic Party, Almami Funding Tao. Today we don't have newspapers for you. The whole of this week we've not been able to bring you the newspapers, but we'll just go straight into the show then, as the Alcalo of Bandung denies claims or allegations he has been selling attestation to those coming to him for that very important document. More in this report.
Apparently, the Alcalo of Bandung, Mamadou Bokonate, was accused of selling attestation. The Fatou Network visited his residence to verify this information. Alcalo Konate denied the allegation.
Sate yantrema sate kebat. Jantena kabila kebat. Nadegal ver place sababen debulu. Ndem Amerika ngodi. Green card be muntem New York benefit let. Yi magazine mi yefo yantel tam. Ndingo be tubab do every month. Aka 10,000 plus the kinyana. So munat na bem fandu na problem kono on na citizen nga ko yoke ni ko ya. I shall never do that. Ndakela. Ndem kebati din dende. Keba ni munay nyinke malolom. Bar la fe police station itaje ntenga puntre mo na ranka volta police wa osia. Ya yele. Nata ta dile nata. Nga fo ya photocopy din ila ordinary nga file. Mon sola mo la fenna. Ndebanda ko stade ko ni ngaba fonde ka dan stade ko non momi mi fo fanial ni mo le o fay fanial nde hani député lu bebe sirigne député bi jang kansula bi jang na fo be nyala ko mon so la mo la brila al na nga de da nga dila with respect mala fi sonko la mala fi ñonne wala mala fi wuri mo jam very small ala demandement adu sa fo bi KMC B2 ndeyo alkalo yi ni keba pele aman soroje mna nan ka man soroje because nde stricta bag mo kan ko mak man ko strictale because wani ko do man la fala man la ko di mutala mo bulon on necessarily man la fi ni moy ko joté sako voters card mi alon ko banko citizen right long adum fo moy na kanade ndeba tambla do nga fil même ko le mutala wodo.
Keba Konate, one of the Alcalo's son, expressed disappointment about the issue. Keba said he would have single-handedly sued whoever is responsible for throwing such allegations at his father.
Ning voters card register ntelebe safe rolontreka be safe. Ning voters card register. Yeah, until we have evidence, we have books. Look at this book. Yeah, ning book ojele. Ning book oltimi alon ko nim momo nata jang register la. Inila voters card nata or passport or birth certificate or any other valid document. Ningata nga register. Nke to safe na buko konole with your serial number of your voters card, and ila ID card number. Nga safe be pare ya stamp wala nyinti. Allegation no nyinlefta mim folaje. Ayendi mim baake.
Bakari Kamara was there helping the Alcalo with the process.
And the councillor gave me the announcement about it, just telling me that I heard that, you guys, you are selling a form. They say a form first. For the first word, they say a form. But I was so annoyed about it, actually, until I got able to eat my breakfast. Still, I don't eat my breakfast because of, the allegation. Accusing someone is not easy in life. And people always believe accusing. Before people to realize the truth, it always takes time.
These women visited the Alcalo to acquire attestation, and they denied having experienced anything of that nature.
Tede birin na mang problem sa toja. Because birin binaka na birth certificate affiliate. So na ID card fanang affiliate. So na all voters card ko ngata wala kam. So birin ta ngo sa man mang problem sa toja. Manjoro kede mo problem din na. Yenna kay to fil nyele yadin na.
Ode nin kambe diam lo la karola man fi on fan lo ni parce que te bile nata jang pour kana kay to ni ba nata kay to ni nga so to alal di maroto.
Accordingly, the Gambia is at its ever highest era of democracy. The people feel absolutely entangled with the idea of having to make a choice from the longest list of presidential candidates the Gambia ever seen. Fatou Kamara reporting for the Fatou Network News Review.
And now, businessman Aboubakary Jawara over the weekend traveled to Senegal, where he graced the occasion of top traditional musician in Senegal, Alassane Mbaye, his 5th anniversary dubbed Sargal event held at the Grand Theatre in Dakar. More in this report.
It was a weekend of entertainment in Dakar, Senegal. Wealthy musician Alassane Mbaye celebrated his 5th anniversary as the country's top traditional griot. Thousands of people from all parts of Senegal filled the Grand Theatre in Dakar for a night of joy. Alassane Mbaye is a top traditional griot in Senegal. His event was on Saturday, graced by businessman Aboubakary Jawara, a friend of his for years. Jawara traveled to Dakar accompanied by his family and friends. Mr. Jawara graced the event on the invitation of the griot. Jawara said he was happy to have graced his friend's big event.
di nuyu président de la république boo xam ne mooy son excellence Macky Sall ak président Adama Barrow ci tuuri Adama Barrow la ko jaarale di ko nuyu ci xaritam rakam bi nga xam ne moo ko jiite ci toogwaay Sénégal Gambie ñooy benn doomi ndey mu ne benn bopp la kenn du ko mun a xar ñaar moo ko seete mu ne usine bi mu ubbee Gambie ñi nga xam ne ñooy ingénieurs yi ñu bari fii lañ jógee Sénégal lu ko waral ñooy benn mu ne lu bare boo xam ne moo war a nekkee ci usine ba pour ñu liggéey ko mu njëriñ askan bi Sénégal fii lañ koy jële ndax moom dafa gis ne Sénégal Gambie duñ mun a rawante moom dafa kontaane béggee Alassane Mbaye tànne ko mu jox ko honoré bi pour mu teewe fi tey délégation Gambie yëpp lii cofeel moo ko waral su fekkee ne bugguloo nit sa jàmm bi doo ko mun a woote tànkam du ko accéléré foofu foo gisee sa tànk dox sa mbokk ya xamal ne yow yaa fa bugg a dem botte dana gis noonam waaye tànk du ko doxee dëgg la mu ne doomi adam nga wax ne duma bàyyi nit li muy wax duma ko ñàkk a dégga koo buggu ta gis nga gis ko waaye sa tànk fi mu la ebalee rek xamal ne foofu cofe laa fa am mu ne ñoom duñ xamante ngir Baye Ciss Baye Ciss daf ko tuddee loolu cofeel moo ko waral mbugeel rek.
The Grand Theatre event was presided by a dinner on Friday night held at the Excellencies Hotel in Dakar. Jawara was welcomed to the Senegalese capital by his friend, the billionaire Senegalese investor Baye Ciss.
Baye Ciss nga am doom ne Baye Ciss nga ko tuddee Aboubakary Jawara c'est Baye Ciss qui a fait tout ça mu ne Aboubakary day ñëw waaye bu ne suba la ma ne ko dama bëgg a def frère ne xorom jëm Baye moo woo traiteur yi Baye moo la teral Aboubakary Jawara guddi gi daal kenn moom ko.
At the Grand Theatre, the musicians sang a song for Jawara. L'homme fort de Gambie means the strong man of the Gambia. For TFN News Review, I am Matis Senghor.
Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. Taft Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Tough Africa.
Very well. So now I will be speaking to the spokesman of UDP, Almami Tal, a very good friend of mine and a brother. Tal, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Lamin, for having me again.
Very well. I know the polity, there's been a lot of activities going on. But these days, the one important activity that has been going on has to do with the voter registration program or activity. Your party is very much steeped into this activity as a stakeholder, as a party that will be contesting the election. This is a very important activity to you. I understand you have your agents at the various registration centers. In the country, you have nearly, 20 political parties. Yet, your party is one of few political parties that is sending agents to the registration centers. Why is this so important to you?
Because the vote itself is not rigged on election day. Because the vote is so important, we are investing every resource at our disposal to make sure only eligible persons, Gambians, having the vote. So this is why the attention and the investment to the details of the processes. And thank God we are beginning to see the benefit of that. Those who seek to circumvent the law of the country and illegally try to get themselves registered will be met at the revising court. As you know, after every general registration, the IEC, before certifying the voter roll, would have to go to a revising court if you have any questions or issues about the eligibility of a Gambian. So really, the party is mobilized, and we have been preparing for this, and a lot of volunteers of the party have come out willingly with absolutely very limited resources. They are willing to do this civic duty, not only for the UDP, but in the interest of the sovereign integrity of Gambian citizens.
So specifically, what exactly are your agents looking for at these registration centers?
We all know the registration process has a criteria. One, you have to be a Gambian. That is the first criteria. You must be 18 years old. And the evidence is either a birth certificate, a voter ID card, or a passport, a Gambian ordinary passport. And in cases where all these documents are not available, attestation from the Alcalo. This is, to my mind, is regrettable that in the first quarter of the 21st century, we still have this estranged relationship with our data and making sure that the biodata of Gambians is not kept with integrity or with any kind of diligence. But this criteria is the basis upon which you get a voter's card. So our agents are looking whether any of, because the mistake is going around that just being born in the Gambia qualifies you as a citizen. This is not the case. In the Gambia, it's not citizenship at birth. It is citizenship through descent principally, and then you can naturalize after living in the Gambia for a prescribed number of years. So it's extremely important that this criteria is adhered to strictly by all potential voters. The IEC itself is very serious about everybody meeting this criteria. And just last week, we had a very fruitful conversation with them about the process. And we had asked them, please come out with all your rules and all your regulations respecting the election, how agents should comport themselves, how political parties should participate in this process, so that transparency and accountability of the process can be ensured. So really, we also got a very positive response from them. The chairman of the IEC was there, his deputy was there, so was the chief electoral officer. And we talked about these processes. We understand some of these teething problems and some of the technology problems, but overall, the engagement is positive, it's an act of patriotism, it's an act of civic awareness on the part of our agents.
But your agents, have they been able to lay their hands on any aberration, any irregularity?
There has been a report, I saw it in the newspapers, that in Busumbala constituency, also at the first weekend, the first few days, some people eventually even own up to the fact that they are actually nationals of Guinea and I think some of our neighboring countries. Yes, I mean, these evidence are coming and they are engaged, and we are just urging everybody to be more patient, to be more inclusive in this process, because if this voter registration goes according to plan and is a successful one, this is a plus for the Gambia's democracy, is ensuring that the health of our democracy is actually in very good shape.
And but there are many things that are being said about this process. The also issue of underage citizens, I mean, getting registered, coming with an Alcalo's attestation. That is one thing, but the issue of foreigners too. So aside the newspaper reports, at the level of your party, your agents have not come to the party to say, this is what we've been able to uncover.
Yes, because the process is ongoing, what the IEC undertook with us was that whatever complaints we have, let us bring it to their attention so that they can take ameliorative measures to make sure that the problem doesn't expand. But like I said at the beginning, there is going to be the revising court route as well. So it is important that at this moment, the evidence that is being gathered is kept as confidentially as possible, so that eventually when we are going as a party to the revising court, we will be able to gather all the evidence we have had over this period of the registration. I really think it is for the health of the democracy of our country that the party is taking this kind of measures, and we are not going to apologize for it. We are going to insist that every law that is made to protect our election and the integrity of the process are complied with by everybody, and we are not going to be intimidated or be whisked away by any political group or individual or organization.
Yet, the ANRD leader, the Alliance for National Reorientation and Development, I interviewed him just 2 days ago, and what he told me is that in Brufut, for example, you have agents of UDP and agents of NPP taking people's details, people's information. Once they register and then get issued with a voter's card, when they come out, your agents would take their information. I don't know why. I mean, why this is happening. This is what he's saying. Is the party aware of this?
Yeah, the party is aware of this. Preferably, we want to get the details from the IEC officers themselves, and generally they provide the information either at a convenient time, because everybody is in the queue waiting for that. Some of the agents would politely try and get the details from the registered person, because when you go to the revising course, you have to clearly say that Lamin Jai of Fatu Network, living in Bundunga Kunda, age this, with this picture, is the one that I don't believe is a Gambian. So those details are the evidence that they are trying to collect as much as possible. And sometimes it's not so easy, because people start feeling, awkward that somebody is questioning their citizenship and their entitlement to be registered and to vote.
And also, it is the Alcalos by law who are empowered to issue this attestation. But if you go to Banjul do not have an Alcalo. It has a mayor, and the IEC is saying it is the mayor that has the authority to issue the attestation. But there's been a row around that, a controversy. And the mayor happens to come from your party, the UDP, and people have called me to say, this woman would look at you, and if she is not comfortable that you are not UDP, she would not give you attestation. What is the party's view or opinion on someone in Banjul responsible for attestation that is a member of your party?
She was elected by the citizens of Banjul. The majority of the citizens of Banjul elected
Some
her.
would say the minority. This was a simple majority arrangement.
Well, that is the system we have, Lamin. We cannot throw the child with the bath water here on this platform. elections in the Gambia up to now, 2021, are done according to very clear rules.
Yes.
At least she was elected. These Alcalos, these Sefolu, are not elected, but they are part and parcel of the communities that they serve, to the extent that they would be aware of family ties. We live in a very close-knit society. If you go to Banjul today, to my father's house, our neighbors are like family. Our, immediate neighbors are, related to others, maybe in Banjul South or in Banjul North, and like that, you get to know a lot of people, especially if you are in the political fray. So I think what the IEC has done is under good advisement. But again, we insisted even with the IEC that, look, you have the power to make regulations for the better management of your act. This act gives you powers to decide what is the best, less controversial route to organize elections and registration processes so that people have confidence in them, people have hope that this is done properly. And if you are having a country that is ruled by laws, make sure the laws are clear, make sure they are simple, and the IEC's question and the discretion of IEC's interference in the Banjul case would not have arisen in the first place.
But what is the UDP's position? Or what is the UDP's position on the issue of attestation?
Attestation is not ideal. We have been trying to say that now really our country should try and enter the digital age. We are in the 21st century. Why are all these tools that can help us have better elections with clear indication? Where is all the data that we have of Gambians who voted in the last election? Gambians in the diaspora. These are all data we would hear the government tell us, oh, in 2020, diaspora remitted $48 billion, half of the, 48% of the GDP of the Gambia. We hear all these statistical facts, and we have not decided to use technology and to use all the tools that are at our disposal to be able to make sure that our data from birth to death is kept with some integrity, is kept in a way that nobody is going to question whether Lamin Jai is a Gambian or not. This is something, it's a very small country, 2 million people, maybe 1 million voters this time around. To have their data kept and monitored over their lifetime should not be difficult. You can have it in one laptop. So really, I think the issue of attestation is a remnant of the colonial times. It's a remnant of a time when we have a lot of illiterate people without birth certificates. But very few people actually have their original birth certificates because the system does not capture their data the day they enter this world. So really, a UDP government is going to make sure that this country, as much as possible, enter the digital age, or what they are calling the fourth industrial revolution, where the connected nature of technologies would enable us to do things that are going to make voting easy, simpler, and the question of whether this guy is a Gambian or not would not arise in the first place.
What does the election, the December election, what does it mean for UDP?
Well, it means principally an opportunity to take stock where we are transitioning away from a brutal dictatorship. But it also means a fresh start for the nation, because we have an agenda to transform in a fundamental way the way government is done. Government must now be value-adding to the lives of the citizen, not only collecting taxes from them. It is a very consequential election, and we want Gambians to take us to task. What are the things that can make this country move forward? Is for the government to take the money of the people and invest it back in their communities, to build infrastructure, to provide employment opportunities, to make sure that poverty is completely eradicated. There are so many global frameworks that if we localize them, take for example the SDGs, There is a new urban agenda where urbanization is used as a push into the 21st century, where housing, the nation, housing businesses becomes part and parcel of your economic cycle. So these are some of the big ticket items that we have as a party, and we want us to talk about that instead of getting distracted or going down rabbit holes about the past. The past, there is no potential there. We should learn from it, we should understand that, but the election in 2021 is really about accountability. We have had 5 years away from dictatorship. What are the promises made? What promises have been kept?
Yes.
How do we renew the social contract between the government and the people? Because remember, Lamin, every day you and I and everybody else pay taxes so that government can do the things that it promised to do for the people. Because I cannot build my own road, yes. I cannot build my own highway, I cannot build my own bus. You have to find a way of investing this together. And this is the commitment of all progressive all over the world. Let us move away from the politics of just talk. Let us do a green revolution. Let us do a digital revolution. Let us make sure that the citizens at their convenience, at their comfort, are able to realize their best potential. Let us build societies that are cohesive, that are not always engaged in this fruitless competition, but they are finding ways to cooperate and finding common ground so that the short time that you have on this planet, you are able to do as much good as possible.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. This election, you will be competing with a number of political parties. What is the one thing that separates UDP? That is, just UDP that makes you unique, that people should look at and say, okay, UDP is the deal?
It is coming out. And, you know, that's like I was trying to say. We just don't want to talk. We are having a manifesto unveiling pretty soon. Obviously, you as the media would be among the first invites before it actually gets to the people. But we have a 5-point agenda that is structured around fundamental transformation of society. Firstly, it's about empowerment of the young people. It's about taking the opportunities that the digital age has presented to restructure our economy and make it more productive. It's about green solutions, renewable energy, a circular economy, where value chains, when they are organized, you have every Gambian at all the nodes, at all the links in that value chain, making a dignified life. So it's a very comprehensive program on health, on agricultural transformation, on education. All of these are in a package, and they are costed, and they are going to be transparently budgeted for. The whole architecture of public finance is going to be pro-investment, is going to be well-creating this paradigm of poverty reduction or minimization of poverty is a paradigm that we want to move away from. We want to be well-creating government that Gambians would feel empowered, all the businesses. And we are very inspired and very impressed with your kind of platform, because it is dominated by Gambians and Gambian women. So that kind of opportunity is there economy-wide, in the creative industries, in tourism, in culture, in all these areas. These are areas where investment would not be very high, and the returns on it would be very, very, very lucrative. At the same time, it will give young people, particularly, opportunities to make very, very wonderful living. And, you know, we want to partner also with the private sector across the board and make the Gambian private sector really the engine of growth, and also make it more Gambian. So these are some of the ideas. Like I said, the manifesto will come out, and we will have one-on-one, sector by sector engagement, because sometimes it's not easy on a platform like this
Yes.
to unveil everything that the UDP has been hard at work over these past several months. We have the ideas, we have the vision, we have the ambition to realize this vision.
Okay, and now let me ask you this then. I mean, this election is coming at a time when the nation is faced with growing insecurity. Internal security has been a problem. Really, to the extent or to the point, the president himself came out to say, okay, there is an upsurge in crime. What would a UDP government do differently?
I think a few weeks ago, our party leader was with the press making the same point, that our concept of policing needs to be revisited. The policing that is focused on administrative and law and order situation is what we have inherited from the colonial rulers of the Gambia. What now happens is that technology has come to intervene, and those tools that technology has provided is not being utilized by our police. The condition of service of our police is appalling. I mean, we have seen so many instances where the police, you go there to complain, you will have to transport them on your own transport. So what we need is a strategy for law and order and crime prevention. But our mandate, our manifesto would be really focused on human security, which actually goes beyond this law and order and sometimes this opportunistic criminal behavior. Of course, there have been an upsurge in that. But human security is about food security, is about environmental security, is security from the fears that affect families, that affect women going to give birth at a hospital where they don't know whether they will go over to the other side and their child may also pass on. So our focus is on how do you ensure human security in a vastly globalized economy? How do you make sure that the agencies and the institutions that are established to secure people have the tools, have the resources, and have the mandate through the law to be able to ensure that there is security and peace and tranquility in the country?
The TRRC just recently ended its public hearings. I mean, going to reveal that more than 200 people were murdered in this country while Jammeh was in office. What is the opinion of UDP in the closure or in the completion of the work of the TRRC? Of course, they'll need to have to submit their report to the president. But what is the standpoint of the UDP? There are fears out there that, there might not be the political will on the side of the government to put across whatever recommendation that the TRRC could come out with.
The TRRC was an important process in our transition. And thank God it was built within its mechanism that it will establish the truth, which has been done. Now, I don't think those who are talking about Jammeh being this, Jammeh being that, Jammeh should come back and, he should be recognized as a great leader. I think those people engaged in that should be very, very careful, because it's very provocative to families who had their members killed.
But they are still saying it.
They are still saying it. And this is what we all as Gambians should stand up and say, look, that kind of talk is provocation. And provocation in a democracy is not good enough. People remember in 1996 that Sadauda was proscribed. His party was proscribed. The opposition parties, GPP and NCP, were all proscribed for the simple reason because if they had contested elections against Jammeh at that time, he would have lost. In fact, it was because of that proscription as political parties and individuals that gave birth to the United Democratic Party. It is these three parties that came together and said that we are going to look for a Gambian who is not proscribed, who can lead the fight to return to multi-party democracy. And this is what has been our message for the last 25 years. How do you create a plural democratic society in which everybody has his or her role to play? Unfortunately, when the TRRC started its public hearings and even attempts to publicly do some reconciliation, some people were making comments. But what I am saying, the political party that gave legitimacy to the actions of Yahya Jammeh has come out of this process scot-free. I don't know, I'm not preempting the recommendations of the TRRC.
Yes.
But the APRC has to explain how it can harbor a monster who is responsible for the death of 200 people. And even today, they are on the airwaves attacking people and threatening people. And this is what everybody has seen together. So really, it's about time that Gambians reconcile themselves to the fact that if we are going to change this country, we must hold each other accountable, and we must be honest about what has gone wrong in this country. And those who are responsible for it should not be sleeping easy because they know that there would be no consequences. Whatever they wanted, they have done, and whatever they want, they would continue to insist on purveying these falsehoods and lies about the Jammeh era. Jammeh was a wicked dictator, and globally he is going to be hunted and he is going to face justice.
You are also a lawyer, even as you are a spokesman of UDP. But in your opinion, in your legal opinion, do you think a case has been established in respect of Jammeh?
Oh, absolutely. Undeniably. I mean, the ICC is even talking about it now. The new prosecutor said that the revelations from the TRRC provides an open and shut case against Jammeh. I mean, this is what the Ghanaian families are talking about, the Ghanaian government is talking about, and there is no doubt whatsoever. The Haidara's family, Solo Sandeng's family, all of these people were acting at the behest of Jammeh. So the case is overwhelming. This is an overwhelming case. So Gambians must insist that in this case, justice is not going to be on the table for negotiation. We must visit these people with the severest possible lawful sanctions so that nobody in their right mind would sit down and try to idolize Jammeh.
Do you think President Barrow and his government will have the stomach at all to implement the recommendations?
That is something that I really don't want to speculate in. I really believe that this is up to the Gambian people because, believe it or not, the CRC process and the constitutional botching that happened, the TRRC, these are all going to be on the ballot in December. People are going to judge the leaders and the candidates on the basis of what they say and what they stand for as far as the constitution-making process as well as the TRRC.
How about the UDP, a UDP government? What would it do in respect of the TRRC? Will you go after Jammeh and drag him to justice, bring him to justice?
That could be a very expensive exercise. We know that the international goodwill is there, and we will do everything possible from the side of the government to make sure that he faces justice. But the chasing of him is going to be a distraction. I want to just draw your attention to what happened in Rwanda. After genocide, they did not want to have anything to do with trying to establish the justice against the genocidaires. They instead left it to the UN to go to Arusha, and in the last 20 years, they have managed to extricate themselves from the most desperate situation that they were in 1994. Ironically, the same year that we changed government from a democratic to a dictatorship in the Gambia. So really, our commitment is that Jammeh must face justice. But of course, I mean, it would be difficult for a UDP government that has a serious program for the Gambian people who are alive and here to be expending capital in trying to chase after Jammeh so that he meets the justice that he richly deserves. In fact, our focus and our international efforts, diplomacy, will be directed towards strengthening the ICC, the International Court of Justice, to make sure that characters like Jammeh face justice. After all, Gambia is the human rights capital of Africa. We have had a very rich tradition of protecting the fundamental rights of people, but we know that litigation, especially international litigation, can be very time-consuming. It can be very expensive. UDP government is committed to support that effort, but clearly we are going to be more focused on delivering on the agenda to transform this country.
And we are in a time of campaign, a time to look for votes. And here is the UDP with this position of making sure, committing itself to Jammeh to justice. Yeah. How does that affect or impact your acceptance, that effort to ensuring that people accept you and vote for you?
Jammeh,
because clearly there are people who would not like that position, and that will be a turn-off for your party.
We would not even welcome their votes. Anybody.
So you don't want those people and their votes. You don't want their votes at all.
No, I mean, if they are going to come and make the position that you have to support Jammeh or you have to forget about Jammeh, that is the only condition that why we are going to vote for you. Quite frankly, I can tell you, UDP does not want those votes. We want justice to happen.
But that is a very risky approach.
What is risky about it?
How about if you lose the election? That costs you the election. Because you need people, you need as much voters as possible to be able to win this election. Here you are saying you don't need the vote of a person who comes to you and say, my only condition is you have to let Jammeh be.
But that condition is not negotiable for UDP. It's like asking for me to overlook something that is illegal, that is wrong, that is condemned universally, and that is still in controversy for me, just so that we can get political power. And I don't also accept the premise. There is a very small minority of people who are committed, who are interested in whitewashing the Jammeh era and Jammeh legacy.
And that cannot lead to UDP losing the election?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, there is no, the stronghold of the APRC or Jammeh's stronghold is in Fonyi. The 5 constituencies of Fonyi, Sanimentereng alone has more voters than them. Combo South has more voters than them. Brikama North, Brikama South, all of these areas.
So UDP simply do not care?
No, it's not a question of we do not care. It's the question that you have raised. Jammeh's crimes, nobody should overlook it. Nobody should make it part of a negotiation or discussion about election victories. Because what he has done to this country, quite honestly, anybody who is giving him the time of day, really, you need to be psychologically examined whether you really are with your full senses. It is imperative for Gambians to know that elections have consequences. And if we are not going to promise Gambian people justice to Jammeh, really, we don't deserve their votes. But the majority of Gambians are committed to a peaceful, democratic Gambia where the rule of law prevails over everything. And it is extremely important that Gambians have this honest discussion. Jammeh to justice is non-negotiable.
Away from that, the issue of cross-carpeting, people joining UDP every now and then, you see UDP media or elsewhere posting that people are flocking to your party. How is that going? How is that issue of people joining the party?
It's going very well. Even the ones that we see, even the ones you see, it's not as many as the ones that you do not see. There are some who had said that I'm interested, I'm securing my voter's card, but I just don't want to be on any platform. The UDP provides an agenda for progress. It is talking about transforming this economy. It's talking about transforming our politics. It's talking about transforming the lives of Gambians. And we want to do this in a united fashion, so that people do not have to worry about whether I support Lamin Jai or not. We want to be focused on developing this country, and there is so much work to be done. And this is what I think some people are beginning to see, and they are beginning to join the party in their numbers. I mean, some of it, of course, has the buzz and the appearance, but a lot of it is very low-key and is on principle. And, you know, I was on a radio program some time ago, and I said in all of that, in this country, people have a habit of burying your good deeds that you have done in the past. Remember, this is 25 years. Ousainou Darboe personally has suffered all kinds of indignities, all kinds of losses. Friends, family members, everybody that has been associated with the UDP has had their life impacted negatively in one way or the other. After 25 years of that, all we have asked the people, give us a chance to show you the transformation that we can bring. You can see it in local government. You can see it in KMC. You can see it in Banjul. Who will say that Talib Bensouda, Rohim Ali Glo, Landing Sane, these people are not working for the communities that elected them? There is ample evidence to show that the UDP philosophy and approach to development is comprehensive, is total, and it is local.
Ahmed, how about the issue of, because those that are coming, you have claims that these are people who have all along been UDP. A case of UDP members coming out to say, I'm joining UDP. Is this the case?
Well, that is inevitable in a political party as big as UDP. In 2016, I voted for President Barrow because he was the coalition candidate. In previous election, I voted for Mr. Darboe. All the elections that I voted for, but I did not join UDP until 2017. So really, people may have been UDP and they haven't declared it. And now that they have come out, again, a democracy is always about the number and the quality of members you have. And I don't see anything inherently problematic with that. I mean, even if we are saying that, I don't think that is necessarily something that you can either criticize or say that it is not done in good faith.
But that is one instance. That one was a mess. You have this group of people. I think it is just two of them. So it is not. I think I have group, two of them, coming to UDP. There was a lot of fanfare around it. To the extent it was your leader who went and welcomed them and received them into the party. Less than 24 hours. You have Abdul Wilan, and to the extent Mr. Darboe singled out Mr. Abdul Wilan to say, okay, here is this man, great guy. In fact, he has proven that UDP is not a Mandinka party. All of a sudden, the guy flipped back to NPP, saying he was just there to, he hoodwinked the party. He pulled the wool over the eye of the party. So how about that? That issue of UDP getting played by somebody who said he has never been a party and he has never been interested in joining your party. That was a very good PR.
Certainly, it was not like they say. It was not our finest hour. But in the political landscape, we talk about the big issues. The big issues are that we have an open door policy. Anybody who comes to the party, and even if you join today, you are welcome very warmly by no less than the party leader himself, just to show you how inclusive and how modern we are as a party. Now, if you come there with motives, if you come there with ill intention, I mean, how can the UDP be responsible for that? I mean, you cannot learn anything from just an encounter with Ousainou Darboe, maybe over an hour or two. I mean, the real question is, what motivates characters like this guy, you know, jumping around and saying all kinds of things? Quite frankly, we need as a country to move away from that kind of politics. What has that guy got to offer anybody? You know, if you ask me. Nobody knew him. I don't even know him up to now. But to the point, the idea that the party is played or the party has been hoodwinked, for me, I really don't see it that way. Elections are coming in December. Those who are committed to a genuine transformation of this country will come out. They will come out and they will vote their wishes and their desires. And decisively, just like after the mayoral and councillor election, the question was put to rest that the dominant party of the Gambia now is the United Democratic Party, because it has a history, it has a relationship with the electorate, and it has stood for the people. Ousainou Darboe represents the people of this country over and over at the cost of almost anything that you can call a good life. And it is time that we acknowledge that effort. It is time we listen to the agenda that is put before Gambians, to learn how to become a better country, to learn how to be an effective small state that can punch above its weight, that can be very instrumental as a hub in ECOWAS and in the Africa Free Trade Continental Area. These are the big items that we would want our politics to aspire to. We would want to elevate our politics to that. You will obviously have missteps, you will have false starts, yes, and you will even have false prophets. But the fact remains that our vision is very clear, and we are going to transform this country by force.
Well, at least your people said I'm a false prophet when I predicted that that your party your party will lose the election. And there are people who even said that. I mean, I think he went to God and spoke with God. Interesting. But then, how did the party leader react to this issue? This issue of him coming and saying all the nice things about this man, only for this gentleman to... Was he disappointed?
We really, quite frankly, we didn't talk about it. But the party leader, I think some of you don't know him. This man is the most humble person. Even small people, when they go in there, they encounter that humility. And he acted in absolute good faith. So really, he has nothing to be surprised or disappointed by. I mean, this guy has been fighting as a gladiator in one of the toughest political arenas. So these kind of characters come and go, and we will wish them well and say good riddance to them.
A political gladiator, Mr. Darboe. But also, let me put this to you, because I mean, a UDP, if you look at your history, is quite an interesting one. You have people who started this party, were there at the outset. These are the people who have left now. And now these are the people who are coming after the party to question the party's character. Just a few days ago, Maimouna Cissé Darboe was a member of the party, said a lot of things. But one thing that she said is that if you look at Darboe now, no one can really blame the old man, because you have this new crop of people, young people who have come and are messing with his mind, with his thinking. This is why now all that UDP does is one error to the next, to the next, to the next. Is this what is going on in the party? Has the old man been hijacked by some group of new people who are messing up with his faculties?
I mean, I have never had such nonsense in my life. I don't know who this woman is, and that assessment is the most rubbish analysis I've ever had. The clear thinking of Ousainou Darboe and the decisiveness that he attends to the business of the party, and this new generation of leaders around him, I mean, across the board, we are talking about women empowerment since 2018. We had a constitutional amendment to reflect that. We had a Congress resolution to reflect that. Our mayor, Banjul mayor, is a woman. KMC mayor is the youngest mayor in the history of the Gambia. And 90% of our parliamentarians are young people. This is the party of the 21st century. I mean, anybody who is either bitter or disgruntled and start talking about the personality of Mr. Darboe, obviously we can all agree that some people are not happy with the dynamism and the new energy that has been pumped into UDP and the quiet achievements of local government UDP. So really, that kind of talk is not a surprise. We hear even worse than that. But it has no relationship with reality. It's complete nonsense.
Let me ask you this then. I mean, this election, I mean, analysts, observers would tell you, is between NPP and UDP. Of course, others will also come to say, that is not true. APRC are the kingmakers. Boy is here. They will do very well in this poll. So don't say it is between UDP and NPP. But that is what most observers would tell you. And if you go to the NPP camp, the feeling is that very much they are winning. But then yet you have the president say that this is a do or die affair. They will choose death over same in respect of this election. That was interpreted variously. I have interacted with people that come from your party who say, okay, the president is trying to instigate violence in this country. Those comments, what is the position of UDP?
We believe this election is very consequential for the Gambia. We believe that the Gambian people have an opportunity once again to choose leaders who put them above everything else. Leaders who are going to empower them, leaders who are going to change the conditions of their life across the board. Now, if you are campaigning for elections, we have had a lot of campaign promises.
Yes.
We have had a lot of rows. But the question whether this is going to be a two-horse race has been raised by a lot of people, a lot of observers, a lot of commentators. But what I want to say is that don't forget, UDP has under its belt at least 4 election processes, and currently is dominant in local government. And this is grassroots politics. So really, the new parties that have come have to test their mettle. I have respect for all of them, and I believe that they have a right to exist. But they have still not participated in any election. So the observation that NPP and UDP are the two main contenders has some basis in fact. However, it is extremely important for us to be clear. Elections should not be about issues of shame or honor or inheritance. Elections should be about programs. They really should be about how do you make the country better? How do you make the average citizen feel better about their country? What policies are you going to pursue in terms of unemployment? What policies are you going to put before the Gambian people in terms of their health? How do you help entrepreneurs become millionaires like everybody is making happen around the world? For us, these are the ideas that we want to share with Gambians and convince them that that is the way our politics should go.
We have just 2 minutes. I will now turn to my very final question. That has to do with your Old Badibu meeting. I understand you'll be having a big meeting this weekend in Badibu. I think it's in Jabakunda. What are you going to do there? What is going on in Jabakunda on Saturday? Is it Saturday?
Well, you know, it's not a secret that Badibu is a stronghold for UDP.
Yes. NPP is saying they are coming and they are taking Badibu from you.
Well, you know, I am a Badibunka. I'm very proud of my people.
Yes.
They have become very successful in the Gambia. Everybody is there. They have this Sanawiya relationship or Kal, you know, with almost all the communities.
Yes.
We are going there as a show of strength, but most importantly because the people of Badibu themselves have been looking for this opportunity to reaffirm their commitment and their support for the party leader and the United Democratic Party. This is one of the first major rallies after his election as the flag bearer and presidential candidate. And you know, Badibunkas, they are people who are very serious, very hardworking, and they want that kind of politics to be nationwide. They want to show once and for all where their support is and the candidate they are going to rally behind in 2021.
Mr. Tal, thank you very much for appearing on the show. Much appreciated. Thank you,
sir.
Thank you very much. So that is Almami Fandin Tal, the spokesman of United Democratic Party. He was my guest today. Thank you for being there. Until next time. Goodbye.